Okay, this is a lesson on subtraction with regrouping, or these days we're also calling it renaming. And this is with middle zero. First, we're going to start out with a three-digit problem, 403 minus 189. The top number, as you may remember, is called the minuend. The bottom number is called the subtrahend, sub in the basement or a submarine. We subtract with regrouping or renaming when our top number is, the digits are smaller than the corresponding digits in the bottom number. So in this case, the 3 is larger than the 9 and the 0 is larger than the 8. So let's see how we would attack this problem. First thing you do is to estimate the difference. I would estimate 403 to be about 400. I would estimate 189 to be 200, rounding both of these numbers to the digit in the hundreds place, rounding them to the hundreds. And I see 400 minus 200, I would estimate my answer to be approximately 200. So now let's try this one. If you go back to thinking place value blocks, again, like we said, since the digits in the minuend, the top number, are smaller than the digits in the subtrahend, I need to rename or regroup the number 403. So if we're looking at it with place value blocks, you see the top half of the page has 400 blocks, 400 and 3 1 blocks. So you'll notice there are no 10 blocks because of this 0 in the tens place. Another way to move this little recording sign, another way to regroup it would be, first I look at this number and I would say, I'm going to turn in one of the 100 blocks. I'm going to X this out and instead trade it for 10 100 blocks, or 10 blocks. But what happens is that really doesn't help me in my ones column. So there I'm going to make another trade in my 10 blocks, trade in one of them, which results in 9 10 blocks, and over here 13 1 blocks, and here 300 blocks. So I've named 403 to be essentially 300s. I have 9 10s and 13 1s. So if you look at that, and I were to do it as most of you will see it on paper, I first look and see I can't take 9 from 3. So I'll cross that out. I'll look at my neighbor and I see that in the tens place it's a 0. That isn't going to help the 3, so I have to go all the way to the hundreds place. I'll trade in one of those hundreds, which leaves me with 3 hundreds and 10 tens. That still isn't helping me in the ones column. So what I'm going to do is trade in one of those tens. I now have 9, and over here in the ones column I have 13 ones. So now I'm ready to subtract. If I take 13 minus 9, I have 4. 9 minus 8 is 1, and 3 minus 1 is 1. If I go and do my double check, which is the famous ... I change this to an addition problem, and I'm looking at the 189, the bottom number, the subtrahend, and the difference, and I'm going to add those two numbers together. 9 and 4 is a 13, carry the 1. 1 and 8 is 9, and 1 is 10, carry another 1. I have 1 and 1 is 2, and 1 is 3. I can see this number is not matching the 403 I started with, which would lead me to believe there is a mistake in the hundreds column. I go back and check my numbers, and in fact I see that 3 minus 1 is not a 1, but should be a 2. So I make that correction. Now, when I go back to do ... I can see that 1, I had brought 1 over. 1 and 1 is 2, and 2 is 4. this number now does in fact agree with that, which shows me I have done it correctly. The last example we'll look at is double zeros. Let's say I had 500 minus 289. First thing is I would make an estimate. This clearly will stay at 500. I'll round the 289 to 300, rounding to the hundreds place, and I would expect my difference to be approximately 200. Now as I look at this number, this obviously calls for regrouping or renaming because the digits in the subtrahend or the bottom number are larger than those in the minuend. So I start here always at the ones place. I look at my neighbor, the tens can't give me anything. So I move over here and I take 1 out of the hundreds. That turns that into a 4 and I have 10 tens then. That still isn't helping me in the ones place. So I cross that 10 out. I now have 9 and I bring 10 over here. Step by step by step. So now if I look at 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 8 is 1. And 4 minus 2 is 2. I look at my difference of 200 is near my estimation. My difference of 211 is near my estimation of 200. But I want to double check with the dot, dot, dot method. Turn this to a plus sign because of the inverse relationship of addition and subtraction. 9 plus 1 is 10. I carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Carry another 1. 1 plus 2 is 3. And 2 is 5. This time I haven't made a mistake. 500 equals 500. And that's correct. So this is Mrs. Sarshik, and that's the end of the lesson.